So when I built my website, we put in a rate limiter to make sure that we wouldn't spam people on the signups. So right here we can actually see that each 200 is getting an okay, and we see that as the same person, so we'll only send one email for the sign up. But there's a vulnerability that was in there, and that would allow anyone from the browser to change what they were sending to us, so we thought it was a different person. So if we run it again, they can actually send through the header, and it actually looks like a different person each time. And what this turns into is essentially my server spamming emails by whatever the attacker told me the email was, and that can get your email and your site kind of flagged. So here you can see we have the multiple subscription sign up spam. The fix for this was one line of code, and I'm going to tell you exactly how we did it later. But also, one of the things that most people don't tell you is you want to use AI as in an adversarial role to red team, blue team your projects. So this one, I pointed my AI at the website, and it found this hole. My site was locked down. It couldn't expose email addresses, but here you can see this is I would say a medium-sized vulnerability where we could potentially be spamming people. It also found two other small issues that I'm going to talk about, so stay tuned. All right, so you don't need to be a security expert to do this. You just need to make sure that you ask the right questions to the AI, because remember, right, it's going to do exactly what you ask and no more. But real quick, if you're getting any value out of this, can you type 1 in the comments to let me know that you want to see more security videos like this? Or also check out the description in the comments after. There'll be a link to an article write-up that gives some of the prompts and what we've done here. So I'm actually going to run this live again. I've already patched a lot of these holes, but we're going to run this prompt live and see what happens as we do another security audit pass. Luckily, it's only Opus 4.8. We're not throwing Fable at it because I wouldn't want to embarrass myself too much live. But yeah, so we're gonna let that run a little bit. But also, I did promise before that I would talk about the actual security vulnerability in our confirmation email. So this is what it was right here. Is we're getting this text string, and the person sending it in could spoof different parts on the front, and so that they could spoof this, and on the back end we would see it as a different person. And the simple fix was just to look at the part that we were appending to the end, the real source, and make sure that we just looked at the real source. And this was the one line fix. As soon as I found it, we patched it right away. I say we a lot, me and the AI. But the next things that it found was two smaller holes. So and it had to do with our poll. So as I was building this website, I wanted to build in a poll feature, and it was a little more complexity to it, but I wanted to build out something real that I could try and break, and that's what we're doing here. And also, before we dig into this, kind of make sure you hang out to the end, because I'm gonna give my advice on the best way to actually run these security checks. But for the poll, it actually had two smaller holes, and the way it was set up, and like I said, my emails were protected. I wasn't storing IP addresses in the database, so if you don't store the information, you can't leak it. But we do have to store email addresses, and I protect them as best I can. And we talked about it in a previous video. I did have row level security on for that, and it actually had the deny everybody setting. And so I had multiple tables. I had one for the emails and the visits and stuff like that, but there was also a separate table for the polls. And the poll table did have row level security on it, but it would basically it would let anybody through. Um, so it wasn't the worst thing in the world. People could just spoof into the polls, and we did actually build in checks on the front end to make sure that we were using the cookie, the IP, and then the browser fingerprint to actually rate limit the polls. So we were deliberate to make sure that it was one person voting for each poll. But we looked at that row level security and it said, oh yeah, we're locked down, but it turns out it wasn't. Um, so they were able to, they could put fake polls straight into the database. They could read, I have an other option where someone could write in, an other, like, I want to see videos about cats, not your stupid AI. But yeah, so we found it in the audit and we plugged it in the same day within like 30 minutes. So yeah, that was that was the two other findings that we had there. So let's actually take a look at what we found here. So we put in the prompt to attack the database again, but this prompt actually makes sure that we don't do anything destructive and we're not sending emails. We want to do this security audit in a certain way, and that's what the prompt I'll provide will kind of give you. But yeah, so it looked through things and says, good, the results are in, um, before it ranks it. So this this is one that I was aware of already, is the gated downloads. So the first, when I set up the lead magnet downloads, I would allow someone to just come in and give me an email address, and I would give it to them right away. And it was really just to kind of see how people, if they would abuse it or not. And a few people would abuse it. They could just put in a fake email address, and then they would get the kit, and then and then that fake email address would could potentially get an email, but it is in there if they received it when they shouldn't have. They can unsubscribe, and we do have the rate limiter, and we do try and make sure that we're not spamming people. But what happens is, this behind the scenes is, it actually would store the asset in a URL that if somebody opened up the browser dev tools, that they could find it and grab my asset. And I was aware of it, and we're actually moving into a double opt-in for these, and we're going to secure this. So you have to give me your email address, you get an email, you confirm it, and then you'll get the kit. I think it's only fair, and the experiment's over once I do patch that. So that's one that I was expecting. So doors it tried and could not open. So it tried to blast this. So they got exactly one thing. So can you show me a nice list of what you tested, what passed with green check marks, and what failed would need fixing or could need fixing? So, yep, the email bomb. Tried to read the subscriber list. Tried to stuff the polls. Leak intervals. Find a secret key in the page. Yeah, that's the other big thing we've talked about a lot, is like sometimes people ship products out where their secret keys are just, they're right on the HTML of their website. So it's very easy with this, with the way we can code things now, and the vibe coding. The main takeaway is the AI, right? Like, you have to specifically ask it to do these things. Like, it's going to build something, and unless you ask it, like, let's break it, or does this follow best security practices, stuff like that. And the other thing that I kind of want to leave you with, and this is what I was teasing at earlier, is you don't want to just run this security audit is you want to ask it questions when it finds something to make sure that you truly understand it, right? So like even though like I had these couple issues, I made sure to have conversations with the AI to make sure that I truly understood, what was happening, because part of using this tool, and why I say we, is this is a powerful tool. You can learn a lot of stuff that, people with 10, 15 years of doing this for a living um, may not know, or yeah, like you use the tool is basically the moral of the story. Do the red team, blue team, where the red team's trying to attack, blue team is trying to defend. Security audit your stuff. Make sure you ask the questions. Have good design patterns up front, especially if you have any kind of database. Um, yeah, so it looks like it's going to come back and it's going to say that we have 7 green check marks. So, yeah, I think the moral of the story is don't just trust row level security. Do your security audits. If you've gotten any value out of this, consider subscribing. Type 1 if you want to see more security stuff, and check out the link in the description for the prompts and then the write up on of the article on the website. Take care.